Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Last time on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, we had the final mission from the boss, where basically Bucciarati was tasked with escorting Trish all the way up to the boss, and he did. He started to, but then suddenly Trish disappeared, and Bucciarati realized that the boss was going to, well, seemed that he was going to just kill her. And that completely enraged Bucciarati. And we also got Bucciarati's origin, where he was just a sort of a normal boy, but his father ended up getting caught up in a whole drug cell, basically, as a witness, and the perps were basically going to kill him, so Bucciarati killed them, and then he joined the Passione in order to protect his father. However, it turns out the Passione were the ones who were peddling the drugs, and so that gave him his hatred of the boss. And yeah, he went and he tried to fight the boss. However, the boss's stand, King Crimson, it does something. The jury's still out on what, but it does something. And basically, it looks like he shoved his fist through Bucciarati's back, so, you know, that's not good, and a lot of blood was coming out, and yeah, so Bucciarati is in a lot of trouble. He did call Giorno, and so perhaps Giorno and the team are on their way, but I don't know. I think it's going to be a bit confusing, especially to, I'm going to say Abbacchio is going to be the one who protests a bit, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But anyway, yeah. So, I'm very curious to get into this episode, so why don't we do that? Like always, the reaction is down in the description and in the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. So let's go ahead and jump right into this episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Here we go. Alrighty, so we had to leave one behind, and it was Fugo. Shit. Man, of all of them, though, Abbacchio was the first one to get on the boat. That's really cool. I like that. I kind of suspected Mista. Because of how much admiration he has for Bucciarati and Giorno. I suspected that Mista would. Narancia, I don't know. I could have gone either or with Narancia. Although I didn't even think about, those reasons, the fact that he would be scared, but seeing Trish like that, it strikes a chord with him, because it's exactly what happened to him, and so he has to be there for the person who is exactly like him, So I like that. But yeah, Abbacchio going first. That was pretty crazy. And Fugo being left behind. Man. Okay. So. Emperor Crimson. Okay. So, as it said at the end, King Crimson can, and I'll probably swap back and forth between those, King Crimson can erase a segment of time. Ability to erase a segment of time. Okay, so here's what I've gathered from the events of this episode with the ability to erase a segment of time, is that his stand power activates. And those 5 seconds do happen. 5 to 10 seconds, they said. Those seconds do happen. However, he is the only one conscious of those seconds. He can move freely through any of those seconds and position himself anywhere he wants in those seconds. And when, I suppose you could say, time resumes, when normal time resumes, nobody else is aware of what just happened. Nobody else is aware of what happened except him. And through that, he can make a skilled counterattack on anybody. Because if a punch is coming towards him, he activates King Crimson. And yeah, he can dodge around. And he sees that, alright, that fist ends up here in those seconds. So then you go for the arm. In a sense. But the person who punched, like Bucciarati, punches, but for them it goes boom boom. Almost like time has stopped, you know? It's basically, it's similar to the world in the fact that for everybody else, they cannot see this power, you know? They cannot see this power. But, I mean, it's essentially like the world, using the world to stop time, and Dio moves people, so when time resumes, they're like, whoa, what happened, you know? But it's the fact that everybody keeps doing what they were going to do. They just don't remember that it happened. So, on the boat, King Crimson's power activated, and in those 5 seconds, Narancia took whatever food or candy or whatever and ate it. Time resumes, time returns to normal, and both he and Mista are looking at it like, wait, where'd it go? And they suddenly realize, wait, Narancia ate it. And Narancia's like, oh, when did I do that? You know? That is the best I can see. That is the best I can understand that. And you know what? I take back whatever I may have said about Bites the Dust, because I get Bites the Dust. Like, Bites the Dust is something explodes and then time rewinds as far as Kira wants it, you know? And the landmine, the most confusing thing about Bites the Dust was things still happen. So long as Bites the Dust is activated, the explosions of Bites the Dust still happen. Even without it being there to trigger it. If Bites the Dust triggered an explosion, it will happen unless Kira recalls Bites the Dust. Which, that's a little confusing, but when you really stop and think about it, you can understand it. It's weird, but you can understand it. This? Boy, you really had to, like, think about that. Like, wow, okay. You really have to, like, stop and think about this, you know? So, yeah. But exactly like with the world and Bites the Dust, it does have its limitations, you know? For Bites the Dust, it's that Hayato remembered all the loops and was able to plan around it until eventually he caught Kira off guard, and, you know, Josuke was able to come in and he had to recall Bites the Dust, you know? The world was more... the outmaneuvering the world was more of Jotaro also having that power. However, Jotaro had such a weaker version of that power, and he was still able to win, you know? So, yeah. And in this, the limitations are it's only 5 to 10 seconds into the future that King Crimson can go to, and it's not really... He doesn't see the future, he watches the future happen. So he doesn't know when time resumes, He has to just go on what he's seeing. He doesn't know, oh, well, yes, now Bucciarati will get up and he'll go do this and this and this. It's not that. He's watching the future play out, and he gets into the best position he thinks he can be in. However, that position was not the optimal position, because right after that, Bucciarati used Zipperman to zip right up, and presumably he can't use Emperor King Crimson like in rapid succession, in a similar manner to the fact that Dio never did that, There's never been an established cooldown time on the World or Star Platinum the World or Bites the Dust or anything. There's never an established cooldown time on these stands, but I'm going to assume you can't just use it in rapid succession, Because otherwise, there's no real purpose to the limit, Like, you have to take a moment or two before you activate it again, or just on, human reflexes, he literally can't do it before Bucciarati zips away with Trish in tow, So, Jesus. That was a lot we just figured out, but I think I got it. I say that, I know that's a meme, though, that King Crimson doesn't make any sense, Like, I'm pretty sure I already knew that it doesn't make sense, but I think I got it. Maybe. That's about as close as I'm gonna come to getting it. Again, why the final villain has to have a time stand, I don't know, but apparently that's just where we're going, Every villain from Dio onward, Part 3 onward, has to have a time stand, so tune in Part 6 when we figure out what the time stand is there. I don't even know. God, I don't even want to think what it's gonna be. Oh my God. I don't know. But, again, this is another sort of, presumably, unless Giorno gets some sort of other power or something, I don't think he's going to get a time power, though. Could, though. That'd be interesting. If he got, like, a time power, but Josuke didn't get a time power, Josuke didn't get a time power, and he was able to beat Kira. I don't know, if he had, like, the only thing I could think is if he had a way of staying conscious of it, or being able to keep track of King Crimson during a time erasure, I guess. Then again, that'd be very similar to Jotaro being able to stay conscious during Dio's time freeze, So I don't know. And that's all predicated on Giorno getting another ability, like Jotaro getting the time-stopping ability. Which, again, I would actually like if there was some sort of advantage that Giorno had when it came to fighting King Crimson because of Dio's blood, Because he is Dio's son, and his stand was the world, which allowed him to stop time. It would be interesting if that gave him a sort of advantage when facing a time stand, but I don't know. I like to, at least the one thing that Giorno did was he replicated the turtle. He replicated the turtle, and in doing so, replicated the turtle's stand, which was pretty cool. And it sucked in King Crimson and the boss. I'd like to know his name at some point. I'm sure we're going to get there, but I'd like to know his name. But that is the big thing, is we don't know his name, Granted, we knew Yoshikage Kira, We learned about Yoshikage Kira before the characters knew who he was, Well, just a bit, because shortly after that is when Jotaro and Koichi found out. When Koichi was like, "Oh, You said you went to a cafe, so I realized you had a wallet. Good for you. Regular Sherlock Holmes over here. Anyway. One day. Anyway. But I also like that Giorno, it shows another facet of Golden Wind's power, that Giorno can, he can basically like slow down or speed up the rate of change in creating a living object, because at first it was just, well, it's a brooch with a bit of a pulse, but then it completed its transformation using the cells of the turtle in order to become, well, the turtle. So I like that can just happen, that sort of control that Golden Wind has, The hell happened to Bucciarati, by the way? Like, is he okay? Like, he's clearly not. But something is definitely wrong with Bucciarati. He's not, I don't think he's quite alive yet, Honestly, at this point, he may just be like a dead body, which would be crazy. Because, yeah, he did, get that spike basically through his hand. He didn't feel it, and he's not bleeding. So, I mean, the next question is, does he still have his stand, I don't know. I mean, it may just be that, the body, I don't know, maybe like his body is still going. His body is still going, but it's not alive. His body is being moved by his soul, but he's not actually alive. And the reason he's not bleeding is because his heart isn't beating, Because that's the thing, is that he didn't have a pulse. Giorno didn't do anything, and then his spirit came in, and then he got up. So it may honestly be that Bucciarati's body is dead. But, I don't know, maybe it's something with Golden Wind, like he's alive, but he's not alive, Maybe his body will start to degrade. I mean, in a few days, that body's, if it is like that, his body's going to start to rot, So yeah, like I don't know, there's definitely something off about him. He didn't walk out of that unscathed. They're going to have to figure something out, but yeah. And then we had the invitation to betray the Passione. And very, very interesting watching that. Let me listen to Abbacchio's reason again. Oh yeah, it was that he belonged.
I pledged my loyalties to the Familia at large, and it's not like I ever swore any allegiance to you, Abbacchio.
I mean, it's going off of all of their backstories. The reason why all of their backstories end with "and then they were found by Bucciarati" is to emphasize here why they would all join him, And yeah, Abbacchio is like, I swore allegiance to the Passione. I never swore allegiance to you, but all the same, I'm sticking with you because you're the guy, And that's the thing. And even when Narancia says, why would we risk our lives for someone we don't even know, for Trish? It's like, well, you already worked for a guy you don't know. You already don't know who the boss is. He never does. It's almost the same thing. But now you do know Trish, So I like that. And yeah, I really like that Abbacchio was first. And then after that, yeah, you got Mista on board. And you got Mista on board because, yeah, Mista is the loyal one. He's like, hey, I'm with you guys, Narancia needed a little convincing. It took him a little bit, but he got there. But Fugo is the one who we're going to leave behind, unfortunately. So I will be curious how that's going to continue. Like, are we going to have to face Fugo at some point? We'll have to see. But very, very good. Really, really good, interesting episode. I really enjoyed this. And yeah, honestly, because I say this every episode, how much I'm enjoying Part 5. Even with, my thoughts here and there about like the Hitman team, which we're still missing the last one. The last one is still out there, the discounted Bakio. Wonder what he's up to. We'll probably see eventually. Can we team up with him? He probably doesn't like us because we killed all his friends, but yeah, well, we'll have to see. But I honestly, I'm really enjoying. I think this has been, at the very least, this is my favorite part since part 2. And honestly, I think I'm going to say I enjoy this more than part 1, because I did enjoy part 1 a lot, probably more than the average person. But I think so. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to definitively say that if part 2 is my favorite, my second favorite part is part 5. I'm really, really enjoying it. So yeah. Where will we go next time? Well, you're just going to have to tune in and find out. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist for all of my JoJo's Bizarre Adventure reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.